I'm Callie.
I'm Lauren.
And this is the Book Common Room Podcast. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're so excited to talk about Borges. How do you say his full name?
Jorge Luis Borges.
There's going to be a lot of names in here, and Lauren knows Spanish, so I'll just look at you when stuff happens.
Okay, sounds great to me.
I was starting to Google, like, how do you pronounce this place in Argentina? I'm like, I'm just going to have her do it.
I'll try.
Okay, but before we get into it, Lauren, what have you been consuming, reading, listening
What have I been doing lately? We finished Winnie the Pooh.
Yay!
We've been reading Winnie the Pooh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been really fun. And I've never actually read Winnie the Pooh all the way through.
I don't know if I have since I was little.
It's A.A. Milne. Is that how you say their name? A.A. Milne.
No idea.
Yeah. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. But we've been reading that, and it's hilarious. I also feel like I don't know a whole lot about the backstory of Winnie the Pooh.
I don't either.
Because I feel like I've heard people say that Winnie the Pooh is, each of the characters are personifications of like the human psyche or like human emotion. So like Eeyore is kind of representative of like depression. Mm-hmm. And then like Winnie the Pooh, he's like ignorance kind of a thing. So it's just like different representations in the story, but it's just so funny. So we've been reading that. I started Atonement, but lately just reading in general is really hard for me to like sit down and do, just with the stage of life I'm in right now. So I've been listening to audiobooks, but Spotify, sorry,
oh my gosh.
Shout out to you. Not really a shout out, actually. But like,
I know where you're going.
I can't listen to like audiobooks on Spotify because you only have a certain amount of time.
Hours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that's kind of frustrating. And so I have like an Audible subscription, but you only get like a credit a month.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And so like if there's other books like for the podcast, like I was going to do Red Rising or like whatever other books we're going to be doing soon. But I'm like, but I would really like to just listen to Atonement, and I would really like to so YouTube is great because it has free stuff for certain books, but if they're like newer within like the last 20 years kind of books, it's like hard to find audiobooks that are accessible, I guess.
I'll start with Spotify and then I'll use it my 10 hours. I hate it. I've had it before where I've listened to like a short, like 7-hour book. Mm-hmm. And then I'll start another one, but I'll have like forgotten that I only have a certain amount of hours and it'll stop halfway through.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's very frustrating.
You got to get a library card.
Yes.
Libby,
I do need to do that.
You can put it on your phone.
Okay.
And they'll do audiobooks just through the library.
That's really smart. Doing that. I did have the Libby app back when I was in college still. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to try that. But
I just renewed my library card.
Yeah.
So I can get audiobooks.
We'll see. So that's like, as far as like reading, I've started Atonement. I really like it so far. I'm trying to get through the books that I really want to this year, but I've been having a hard time just finding time to just sit and read or making time for it. I'm sure I could if I wanted to. Mm-hmm. There's just days where I'm like, I need to just sit. And so.
Girl, you need to get a Kindle.
Maybe I should.
Because Kindles are nice because you don't have like this massive thing. It's just like this, and I'll prop it up too.
Yeah, I'll just be like nursing our child, and I'll be like holding a book in my hand, like depending on how big the book is. Borges was tough because I was like trying to go through the short stories, and my hand would be like cramping, and I'm like, eh. Yeah. So as far as reading, that's kind of where I'm at. But we just finished the Fallout show.
Oh yeah.
So good. Mm-hmm. So good. I really like the show. I think the writing is incredible. So we finished that, and we just started the new Game of Thrones show. What is it called? The Knights of the Seven Kingdoms or something like that.
No idea.
Actually really good so far. It's like really cute because it's exploring this relationship between a knight and his squire. Mm-hmm. But like the way that the guy became a knight is interesting, and how he met the kid that plays the squire is interesting. Anyways.
Is this something that, what's his name, Martin wrote? Or did he actually write the story, or did?
And everyone's like, and he actually finished it. So everyone's like, what the heck? So, but I've heard good things about it. We watched like the first 3 episodes that have come out. It's pretty good. So we've been watching those. Shows are a little bit easier for me to consume right now. That's really it. Like, I haven't found any cool new music. I'm in a music slump right now. I can't find any
I feel that too.
Good music, like new music. And I've been trying to listen to new music, and I'm like, this just isn't.
Spotify's got like the DJ, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll put that on just to see, because sometimes they'll put in stuff that I haven't listened to before, but I haven't really liked anything.
I know. So lately, that's reading slump, music slump, TV shows. What about you? What are you up to in your media consumption?
Well, I have a confession, and Lauren's going to get mad at me.
Oh, boy. Oh, I don't know what this is. We should play the music in the background right now.
So I finished Hamnet since last time we talked. Yes. And I was at work. So I finished it the night, like on a Tuesday night or something like that. And then Wednesday at work, they let me go home early. And there's a 3:20 showing. And I was like, What?
I thought you were going to talk about Spirit and how you had never seen it.
No, that's worse.
Why didn't you tell me about this? You always do this to me.
I know.
She always does this to me.
It's a betrayal.
Walk out the door, you see someone that you know, and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Okay. Yes, she betrayed me. This happens all the time. She let me. I literally didn't even read your mind on this because, like, usually I know.
So
usually I'm like, you're going to a BTS concert, aren't you?
Yes.
You're going to go see Hamilton, aren't you?
Yeah,
and usually I figure it out. This time I thought we were on when you said you had never seen Spirit of the Stallion and the Cimarron. I was like, what do you mean? We watched it together. Like, so that's even worse because you've seen it with me and you didn't feel the way I felt. Oh, I tapped my back.
I don't even remember watching it.
Oh, it's like a dagger to my heart. Man, I was like talking to a bunch of 12-year-olds the other day. That sounds so creepy. No, they were like neighbor kids, and they were like talking about their favorite movies, and they were like, "We love Lord of the Rings." And I was like, "Oh, I love Spirit," and they're like, "Spirit's okay." And I was like, "What? No, that is." Oh my gosh. Anyways, I thought you were going to talk about that, and then when you brought up Hamnet, I was like, "What are we talking about right now?" I can't believe you watched it.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, I felt guilty the whole time.
Good. That makes me feel better. Okay. So honestly, when it comes down to it, I'm not even mad because it's like, what would I have been able to go? But we do have to go see Wuthering Heights.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So it's okay if you see it without me. You just have to watch it with me.
No, I'd want to watch that with someone. I did kind of want to watch Hamnet alone at first because I knew how I was going to feel about it. Okay, let me go on my Hamnet spiel. Okay.
Okay.
I finished the book. Probably the most beautiful book I've ever read in my entire life.
Oh.
I finished it and I was like, it was one of those type of stories where it made me want to create like stories, if that makes sense.
I started Hamnet too. That's another one of my graveyard books.
It's okay. It's slow. And I feel like, what's her name? Maggie O'Farrell. Someone described it in a funny way. It was like she always writes things in threes.
Yes, she always does.
It's almost like a circle.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it.
Yeah.
This person didn't like it, but I kind of like it. And so it does repeat. And it's the way she writes the story isn't linear either. Because you start the story, you've got Hamnet. His sister's sick, and he's trying to find like his mom, his older sister,
his grandpa,
his grandma, and his grandpa, and a physician, and just no one's around, no one's available. And that's how the book starts. And then you jump back in time to meet Agnes, the mother. So it's not linear, but I really liked it. And then I heard the movie was just like the best thing ever made. So I was like, well, I have to go see it. So I went and saw it, bawled my eyes out, and it like was just like, I literally went home and I was like, I'm going to write a story.
Way to go. You should put it on our Substack if you feel like
it's an idea of a story.
I love
that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Like inspiration came, but it was beautiful.
So cool.
I loved it.
I love when creators inspire you to create. In that way, I was reading and I could get the circular vibe, but what was interesting is when you read it, you could tell that what she wrote was inspiring the next things that she wrote. And
everything was intentional.
It just felt, and I liked it. I liked the style.
It.
I'm only like the first 10 pages in of that and a few chapters into Atonement, so it's going to be a long haul to finish these books, but they're all really good stories.
I also thought it was probably one of the best book to movie adaptations I've ever seen. Like they added stuff that wasn't in the book,
but it was like intentional.
But I loved it. Like it was stuff that the book just didn't have time, or like it wasn't like needed for the book, but it like made the movie better, and everything they cut out I thought was fine. The only thing that I thought was funny, and if anyone who has seen it will know the scene, but at the very end, Agnes is walking through this crowd, and in the book, it's narrating what she's thinking in her head. But since it's a movie, you can't just like read her mind. So she's saying it out loud, and it is awkward. She's like shouting in this theater to these people, and everyone's like, who's this crazy lady over here?
Yeah, that's
But in the book, it feels more like internal, like she's having this real like fight within herself. So that was like the only thing that I was a little sad about.
That's a hard thing.
But it was one of those things where I don't know how you would have done it.
Yeah, I think of like, you know how in Little Woman, when there's letters, they like pan to the person who wrote the letter, and they're talking to you, and they're like reading it, and they're like in a completely different area, but it's like their voice is narrating it. I liked that she did that. So maybe if they had like her voice it over instead of speaking it live.
I don't know. I think any way they would have done it would have been a little cringy. Cheesy and cringy. So I think for what she did, it was probably the best option.
Okay.
But it was beautiful. I loved it.
Good.
Anytime someone like has a negative critique, it's usually either something that I liked about it, or I'm like, you just didn't get it.
It's like, come on now. That is nothing compared to the overall quality of this story.
True. And then I started
I thought it was a video game case for a second. I was like, I love that you brought that.
But I was like, I have to read more Maggie O'Farrell books. So I'm reading The Vanishing Act of Esme Lennox. She writes this again in like the threes thing. It doesn't work as well in this one, but it's still pretty good. I'm liking it.
Is this a book that was written before Hamnet?
You know, I have no idea.
I'm curious. Okay.
This cover says author of Hamnet, but sometimes they'll republish
the covers
if it's been
to help
like,
resell their previous books.
Yeah.
I
have no idea. But this was from the library. I got this while I was there.
Oh, your little local library. All right. Well, that's what we've been consuming.
Yes.
Now to Borges, you guys. You guys were like, what the heck is this?
Okay, stop talking.
Yeah, like, okay, can we talk about why are we talking about him? Honestly, he is an author you guys need to know about. I just feel like he truly, like, I feel like if you bring up Borges in just like any side conversation, either people don't know who he is or they rave about him. They're like, who the heck is Borges? Or they know, they're like, right? He's an underrated author, which is crazy because I feel like he is so influential. So who was Jorge Luis Borges? Did you want me to go with this, or do you want to go?
I'll do what I've gotten written down on here, and then I'll pass the baton over. Okay,
but give us the tea.
The tea. Who was Jorge? I don't know how to say his middle name. Luis Borges.
Francisco Isidoro Luis Borges.
So he was born in August of 1899 in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, okay, Buenos Aires. It's fine.
Kind of an overview before we really jump into it. He was known for his short stories and essays. He usually talks about dreams, labyrinths,
the infinite,
archives, mirrors, mythology. Like he just kind of, I don't know where his mind was at. It wasn't here. I don't know. Like I feel like he had to like access some like external something to like come. His imagination was impressive. Yes, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree.
By 9, 10, or 11, depending on the source you read, that the age changes. He translated Oscar Wilde's The Happy Place into Spanish. So he was just a genius. He came out of the womb knowing English and Spanish. When he was like 15-ish, him and his family moved to Switzerland. And while he was there because of the war, his family moved around a lot, but he learned tons of languages. He knew German, Italian, French, and then he eventually learned how to read Old English, Old Norse, and Latin. This guy just knew all of the stuff.
Yeah.
In 1921, he eventually returned to Argentina with his doctrine of, how do you say this?
Ultraism?
Ultraism, or how do you say it in Spanish?
Ultraismo.
It's a movement that started in Europe, but Borges brought it to Southern America, to Argentina. And I'll post pictures, but just kind of like a little bit of background, because this really shapes his writing style. So Ultraism is an early 20th century art movement which developed in Spain in around 1920. It was strongly influenced by European avant-garde movements, particularly Cubanism and Dadaism. These are some of the paintings, I'll put them up, that kind of came out of this. To me, it feels almost not quite modernism, but not like...
It doesn't feel... Yeah.
It's something I almost feel like in between what we know is like modernism and abstract. Like there's... I don't even really know how to describe it. Like what is interesting are the colors. Like they're very muted, but they're like portraying just like real life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a town or just like a person in a bed, but everything's very muted. I kind of wish I went more into this movement, but that's okay. It almost feels like he's looking through some sort of like filter. I don't even really know.
Yeah, totally. Like he has like this very specific lens in perceiving the world.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like this influences his writing and like his perspective for sure.
Since like basically the age of 10 until he died, he continuously was publishing and writing in many different journals. The next kind of big notable thing that happened in his life was in 1938, his father passed away, and then Borges suffered a severe head injury and he almost died of sepsis, which he referenced in his short story El Sur.
El Sur.
And then on top of this, by this point, he's almost completely blind. His father had eye problems, so it was genetic, which got passed down to him. And kind of through all of this, his writing style, I would say, became more reflective.
Yeah.
At least like the very short research I did, and this is me, I felt like if there's like a before and after, as he got older, he started really thinking about, what have I done?
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't read enough of his early works, but I definitely get the sense in his works as he's older that he is a little superstitious.
Yeah.
And
maybe very superstitious.
Yeah. And that he is very reflective to the point of like, what is life?
Yeah.
What is meaning?
We'll get to this, but a couple years before he died, he hired on a personal assistant after his mom died. And she was...
This Beatrice?
It's Maria Kodama. And she was pretty religious. She wasn't Christian, but she believed in I think in a couple different faiths. And he just had like a ton of questions. So it almost seemed like at the end of his life, he's like, hold on, what do I believe?
Yeah.
Yes, but then passing it to Lauren, after this, what did he do?
Oh, yes. So like later in his life, he served as the director of the National Library of Argentina. And he was there for about almost 20 years. He was appointed by a revolutionary government at the time. And he led the institution despite becoming almost completely blind, which inspired his famous poem, Poema de los Dones, Poem of the Gifts. And then, by the time he was appointed director, like Callie was saying, his eyesight had almost completely deteriorated. It was interesting because I was reading a biography on him that was written by someone that also assisted him. And she talked about how anytime he had people over, he would have them read to him. Like he would take them into his library and he would have them read to him, and he would recite poems, and he knew so much because he memorized so many. And even though he was blind and he couldn't read them, he had like a library in his brain, basically.
I didn't say this, but before you continue, when he was living in Argentina before his family moved to Switzerland, his family wasn't rich by any means, but his dad had a massive library, and he basically memorized all of Shakespeare.
Yeah, it's insane.
While he was a kid.
It's absolutely insane. So like when you read his stuff, he just drops Shakespeare stuff all the time. So most of the time, if you're like not sure what the reference is, he's genius, but most of the time it's usually Shakespeare that he's referencing. That's like kind of the irony, was that he would reflect on all the time, was that he was a man who loved literature and writing and reading and went blind. And it's in his writing too. Like a lot of his characters will be blind. In El Sur, like the guy like had a head injury that caused him to have sepsemia. It's like he was having like fever dreams. And the whole thing was like this guy, like you didn't know if he actually achieved it or if it was just because he had a head injury. I think this is important to include because Borges was just an influential person on the page, off the page. But he was a staunch vocal opponent of Nazism and anti-Semitism during World War II, to the point that he would write about it and like call out people. He condemned Nazi horrors and defended Jewish identity. He even like translated Jewish writers and it like explored like a lot of the concepts they would in their writing, like Jewish mysticism. He thought the Holocaust was a profound global tragedy, but he would get a lot of persecution for his speaking out about it. He also did not like his government in Argentina. He spoke out against them. He was anti-Peronism. I think Perón was like the leader of the country at the time. And his whole belief was that the government should have control over the national economy. So it was very nationalist.
Yeah.
And he did not like that. Borges opposed this because he felt like they should have a commitment to like individual liberty. He had a disdain for nationalism, and he just had personal experience of like persecution. And he just felt like he didn't like how the country was being ran. So he would speak out against this.
When I was doing research, because I was like, who the heck did he marry?
Oh, yeah.
I always like to find out who these guys' wives are.
Yeah.
He didn't really marry anyone. He married a woman, and then they got divorced like a couple months later. And then when I was like doing research, I don't remember which one I was reading, but there's a line that was like, because of like Argentina government, like he wasn't allowed to like get remarried soon after he got divorced or something like that.
That's interesting.
So
I think that's why he ended up leaving the library, was because they told him to. I think he got in trouble. So yeah, that needs to be fact checked. If it, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Was like he left because of him calling out the government, and even to the point where he cracked a joke about the Argentinian leader, and a bunch of journalists like blew it up to the point where they were like, he was like speaking out against him, but he was just making a joke.
Oh,
and so they like the joke he said. They put it in the journal saying, Borges speaks out against Perón. And literally a week later, Borges traveled to La Plata to give a lecture, but it was canceled because someone had put a bomb under the days where he was going to. So when he recalled or invented like the bomb incident, his voice, like, this is like according to the biography that Beatrice wrote. I forgot her last name. Sorry, guys. She was like a major like voice in researching Borges and like pointing out Borges. But she was just saying that he was like, what cowards? They were trying to kill me that way? Me, a blind old man? Why didn't they come at me with a gun, or better still, with a knife?
That's true. He was old.
He was an old man just going to go do a lecture, and he just felt like it was so cowardly. So this is all like speculated, but
it's honestly very Shakespeare. Like Shakespeare, if you read his plays, he made fun of the government, the king, all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Like, so even Hans Christian Andersen was like speaking out against the monarchy. But it was just interesting to read that. And also it was interesting because Borges fantasizes about his death all the time in his writing, and he just wants to go out like a cowboy. Like he just wants to go out like the cowboys he reads about in like Western literature and media, and he just was like wanting to die by a knife, like in a knife
fire
fight.
Of glory.
Yeah. I think this is really sweet. He said that he imagines paradise to be some kind of library.
Aww.
And I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
I could see it.
And like and all the things, like he was an amazing advocate for wanting people to be able to believe what they want to have that individualism. But also, like, I think it is important to know, people are like, this is alleged, but I don't think it is. He was pretty misogynistic. So if you're reading, and like, we don't cancel him out for that, but it is good to know, like, he's not like a perfect person.
Yeah. Don't idolize him.
No.
But like, he said some great things.
He just said some great things. It was so funny. I was like giggling this morning because I was rereading one of his short stories, and in it, he goes, it's in Shakespeare's memory. And I don't think this is that much of a spoiler, but he was like trying to get rid of something. And in trying to get rid of something, he was like calling people randomly on the phone, like through the phone book. And he said he would avoid children and women because of their vulnerable states. And then he was like, and then I heard the refined voice of a man. And I was like, nice.
Nice.
So that made me laugh. He says, quote, there is no description of the universe that is not arbitrary and conjectural for a simple reason. We do not know what the universe is. So this is like down to Borges's like absolute deconstruction of like life. What is life? What is it mean to be human? Like everything. And I feel like that quote kind of sums up Borges, I feel like, and the vibe he gives in his writing. I found this in a blog, actually. on someone kind of ruminating on Borges, but they said that this quote fits into a broader motif that runs through much of Borges's work, that of the infinite or infinity. Man's knowledge is limited, but the cosmos we live in has no discernible limits. In some of his stories, characters recognize this as something frightful or sickening. And an example of that is in the short story The Book of Sand, which tells the story of a book collector who obtains a minutely written volume in indecipherable script whose pages appear to be limitless and are numbered in a completely random fashion, never repeating. And the narrator soon grows to dread the book and gets rid of it by leaving it in a public library, trying not to notice where he put it. But in other stories, there's something beautiful and mystical about the infinite. And in his short story, The Aleph, which is like the first letter of the alphabet in Hebrew, is an otherwise rather dull man has possession of a sacred point in space in his cellar, one that contains every other point in space and time. So anyone who looks at the Aleph or the letter can see any time and anything they wish. So it's just interesting how he explores these questions he has in very different ways. Like one in like, this is horrifying, and in another way, like, this is kind of beautiful. In the end of his life, he married Elsa Milan, but they separated only a few months later.
Apparently his mom was getting old. She's in her 90s. And she's like, you need to marry someone. You need to marry a woman who can take care of you because you're blind.
Like a nurse, basically.
And she was widowed, so she could get married to someone else. But then I tried to figure out like why they got divorced. Mm-hmm. But the only thing I could find was this new biography about him that's like, never before information given by someone who knows the inside details. And I was like, okay, really?
It's giving Harry Potter, the like biography on like, what was her name? Bethalda Bagshot by Rita Skeeter. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of felt like that. So I was like, so I decided not to just look into it at all. I'm like, they had their problems.
Yeah, they did.
So they didn't last.
And then he died of cancer on the 14th of June, 1986. And was it in Switzerland that he passed away? You said Geneva.
Geneva, yeah.
Yeah. But this leads us to like the influence of Borges. This is the argument that this biography was making, and I have things linked here. They call him like one of the greatest writers of the 20th century.
I believe
he was an Argentine master of metafiction, which that is the genre of his
yes.
writing, metafiction. He has a profound influence on modern narrative, particularly through filmmakers Christopher Nolan, which kind of explains why our post was like films by Christopher Nolan.
I know, I was trying to figure out like what pictures to use for it.
Yeah.
And so I just Googled like what movies are influenced by Borges, and it was like all Christopher Nolan stuff. I was like, yes.
The Prestige, Interstellar, Inception.
I feel like the stories we read felt more like Inception.
Oh yeah,
so that's why I did Inception stuff,
because it was very infinite dreams.
Labyrinths.
Yes,
yeah.
So filmmakers like Christopher Nolan, who adopt his philosophical dreamlike approach to reality, Nolan is often cited as a modern interpreter of Borges, translating the writer's complex cerebral short stories into like blockbuster cinema. And I do too. And actually, in an interview, you guys could find this. But an interview is asking Nolan, like, hey, what is like the inspiration? Because him and his brother write a lot of this stuff. And I think it's crazy because I think his wife is the producer. So it's like a family business. These movies are incredible. The interviewer was like, is Freud like a big source for you? Because I think he just explores the human psyche a lot. And he was actually like, no, Borges.
I think I found this interview and I was going to put it in an episode a couple while back.
Yeah.
But it's like, whoever edited it put some like really dramatic music on there,
so it's like hard to edit that out.
It felt weird. Well, I think we were pretty somber in our tone. We were talking about something kind of sad. And I just like felt weird. Maybe I'll find it and I'll put it in here.
Yeah.
Borges' influence on the Dark Knight films in particular is all about bridging that divide between higher aspirations of trying to make people think about a particular philosophical dilemma, but couching it very much in the thriller. Borges really understood that relationship and could make incredibly atmospheric short stories that would suck you into a philosophical conceit in a very, very entertaining way.
And then Borges has been called the father of the Latin American novel. Borges' influence on Latin, this isn't me writing, this is from biography. I'm not as eloquent in like is spontaneous speech, but this is something that was written in a recent article, somewhat recent, 2014. That was recent. Just kidding.
12 years ago?
Like 12 years ago. 12 years ago. Borges' influence on Latin American literature is like Sherwood Anderson's effect on American fiction. So deep that has become difficult to name a major contemporary writer who hasn't been touched by it. And I thought that was such a clever way to write that he's like his influence is so embedded that we don't even know that Borges has had an influence on us, which is kind of interesting to say that because he speculates about that kind of stuff and he's writing all the time.
Oh.
And then like the big question, why people say he's like the best 20th century writer. This particular article said it was because he created a new literary continent between North and South America, which I believe is true. Mm-hmm. Between Europe and America, between old worlds and modernity. Whew. That was tough.
You got it.
In creating the most original writing of his time, Borges taught us that nothing is new, that creation is recreation, that we are all one contradictory mind, connected amongst each other and through time and space, that human beings are not only fiction makers, but are fictions themselves, that everything we think or perceive as fiction, that every corner of knowledge is a fiction. I thought that was kind of interesting because I personally have like a belief in truth, that there is truth out there, but there are things that he writes about where it's like, how much is it just like a fabrication that we humans have just created for ourselves? And I'm like, that is so interesting. And then back to Levinas, y'all. Emmanuel Levinas adds that the World Wide Web in which all time and space coexist simultaneously seems as if it were invented by Borges. I was like, interesting. We're just all in Borges' brain.
We're actually just living in Borges' dream, and he's dreaming about us right now.
Yeah. So,
and he's wondering what the purpose of his writing is, and he's looking at us talk about him on a podcast.
Yeah. If y'all have never read metafiction, this is exactly it. What we just said, that is metafiction. So anyways, that is Borges, y'all.
That's so interesting. Okay. Not to go back to Hamnet, but the director of the movie, she said something in an interview that I loved. I wrote it down. I loved it enough. Hold on, let me see if I can find it because I want to get her wording right. But it was kind of about this whole, how do you cope with the impermanence and ever-changingness of life?
Yeah.
Like how like humans aren't stagnant beings.
Yeah.
Like how do you deal with that? What do I do with it?
Well, while you look this up.
I'll just paraphrase it. It's fine. I don't remember where I wrote it down. So she said basically something like the whole point of Hamnet is how can you find a love in like the seat of impermanence or something like that? Like how can you not just get consumed by grief and the anxiety of it?
And even like to the point where it's like, how can you love someone now when we all change all the time? Mm-hmm. So how can we continue to love if we're just not going to be the same people?
Exactly. Or I always like people are unpredictable too.
Yeah.
Like you can only control yourself. You can't control other people. So like how do you just like live with that? Mm-hmm. But I also feel like I think my favorite short story that we're reading for this, what's the one where he's talking to his future self who's like
Everything and Nothing?
Yeah, Everything and Nothing. I think was my favorite one out of the four because I love the idea how he's in a dream, but he's talking to his future self, and his future self is like, no, you're in my dream. There's the metaphysical. But there's that whole idea of I'm also going to change. Yeah. And I'm okay. And am I okay with that?
Yeah.
Like, and how would I feel if I met the future me? Mm-hmm. Or how would I feel future me meaning past me? Like, am I okay to not like put past me in a box and like hide them away, but like reconcile with myself. Yeah. That was who I was.
Yeah. I think Borges makes me, I still read his stuff and I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah. You almost have to be okay with that. You kind of just have to go in with an open mind and just like give him time. Because there's the one, is it The Circular Ruins? Yeah, The Circular Ruins, where I was reading it and I'm like, why the heck do we care about all this? Oh, yeah. And they get to that last sentence and I was like,
oh. Yeah, that was very Inception.
And then I had to reread it again. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
The dream within a dream.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing. Because I was like, what is happening right now? I read his stuff and I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. And it kind of reminds me, this might sound mean, but it reminds me of one of my professor's lectures. Because he knew all the references he was making. Oh. But we were all like,
huh?
Like he was dropping like literary references, movie references, and like you could tell he has a brilliant mind.
Yeah.
And I loved his lectures, but everyone would be like, I feel like either people loved it or they like were like, I fall asleep all the time. But like, if you can like keep up with his brain, it's always worth following, because it's like, I just feel like he makes very important connections like Borges does. And sometimes it doesn't feel like it's relevant, but it is to get him to where he's going.
Yeah. So, I had a professor who I had like 5 million times.
Yeah.
I just kept taking his classes.
Yeah.
And he was the same way.
I know. I took his classes because I liked his brain like that.
And I had someone come up to me who was like, how many classes have you taken with him? And I was like, I don't know. I think I'm on like my 4th one.
Oh,
and she just couldn't get it. She's like, he's so boring. He just sits there and talks at us. And I'm like, yeah, normally I don't like it either.
Yeah.
But my notes for that class were always insane. And I always learned so much.
Yeah, that's how I feel with this professor. I had several classes. He oversaw my like little honors thesis that I was doing. But I'm like, it was always a treat to just go and talk with him. Because I just felt like he just, I don't know, he kind of had a way of thinking that was reminiscent of Borges to me.
Yeah.
And even if you couldn't always track it, it usually led you to learn a lot.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I know. I feel like before, if you guys haven't already started reading these, I think a good caveat is to keep an open mind. And I honestly think this is a really good exercise to like branching out, because I don't normally read stuff like this. This isn't like the genre I love to read. Like even the movie Inception, I love that movie. I think it's great.
It's not one you watch all the time.
But it's not like in my top 10.
Yeah.
And I don't love that genre of movie either. But I think it was a really healthy exercise for me to sit with this, to be patient with him.
Yeah.
And like just keep reading.
Yeah.
And it paid off.
Yeah.
So you got it, guys.
Yeah. So it is like kind of like brain gymnastics, but in a really good way. I feel like it makes you think. It gives you really good conversation with people.
And between the 4 short stories in total, I think it's like 26 pages.
Yeah, not very much. I think Everything and Nothing is like 1 or 2 pages.
Yeah.
And then the other ones are max like 4 to 6.
Yeah. I think one of them was 10, the detective one.
Oh, yeah. The Death in the Compass.
I think took me like 30 minutes to read. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other ones, it was like...
That one's a good one to read, though.
It is
Death in the Compass, like,
it is good.
I'm pretty sure I've seen film adaptations that are kind of similar in that vibe. Like, if people have seen Seven, is it called Seven? It has... Shoot. Ooh, okay. I gotta look this up.
While she's looking it up, The Prestige is like this.
Yeah, it is Seven.
With
Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. And it's like the 7 sins.
Oh.
And this murderer killing people based off of each murder is associated with one of the sins.
Oh.
You would actually really like it.
I probably would.
It's art. It's very, very bloody and intense. I've never seen it. Gray was watching it, and I was like,
I'm okay.
Yeah. Oh, it has Gwyneth Paltrow in it too.
Okay, there you go.
Anyways,
I did just watch Iron Lung.
For some reason, the concept of that reminds me of Death in the Compass a little bit. But also like he kind of gives away things in the names, because like Red Scarlet or whatever, it's like a made up name, but it's like red. Like red is like this theme, and it was interesting how he did it.
And if you liked the movie The Prestige, that's basically the story.
Yeah.
But it's a detective, not a magician.
Yeah.
Magician.
Oh my gosh.
I'm losing my mind.
Anyways, but that's Borges, you guys. I also just kind of want to drop this. We can put it in the link if we don't want to add this, but I felt like I needed to say the last points that I made with regards to why he's like such a popular 20th century writer is from a 2014 article written by Jane Chabatri. Okay. I even practiced saying her last name because it's Italian. And I'm like, I'm not sure how to spell or say that with the spelling.
And okay, so to your point about Borges being a misogynist.
Oh, yes.
So I do think that is interesting. Hold on. How do I want to phrase this? So after he died, and I did get kind of confused and lost in this a little bit, he gave everything to this personal assistant that he had at the end of his life.
Yes.
He legally married her so he could give it off to her. And then she continued on his legacy.
Yeah.
Which I do think is interesting.
And it does seem contradictory.
Yeah, I wonder why he didn't get married and like have kids of his own, or like had like a close buddy that he trusted.
Yeah.
Like, I do think it's interesting that he really did trust this. What was her name? Oh, I wrote it down.
Marie, that one.
Yes, Maria Kodama.
Mm-hmm.
She just recently passed away, like a couple of years ago, and because Borges had siblings too.
She was his wife.
Well, yeah, so they got married, but he died literally 2 months later.
Yeah.
And they were never like, it wasn't like a love marriage. It was just for like legal purposes, so he could give her everything. It almost, Knives Out?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like this person who just took care of it. And she was also like way younger than him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I do think that is interesting that in the end, he trusted a young woman to carry on his legacy.
Mm-hmm. She guarded his legacy for sure.
She did.
Yeah. So that's why when you look up, it's alleged misogyny.
Yeah.
So like, I think you feel it in his writing. I don't know. I like to think so. I always feel like people throw that around. I mainly just brought it up because I just feel like that would be something someone would say. Like,
yeah, that's fair. That's
like
fair.
someone would say like I painted this really beautiful picture of who Borges is and didn't shine light on like some of the like things in his life that I feel like people would like rebuttal. I don't know, but so I felt like it was important to like be like, he's not perfect, obviously.
Yeah, that's fair.
But and people would argue that in his writing because the lack of female characters, or when he did bring up females, it was usually negatively. Except for when he brings up Anne Hathaway, like Shakespeare's wife, he brings her up a lot. And he also like makes references to Dante's Inferno a lot and like Beatrice. And so
he would be someone that liked Dante's Inferno.
Yes. Oh yeah, like maze, like navigating hell. Like, is this a form of hell? Like, it was just, and he just is very interesting that way. But I would agree with you because he trusted Maria.
This is true.
And she was a woman, so it's fine.
His writing also felt very Chaucer to me. Just like very old English.
He references Chaucer a lot too in his writing. Like, I think I read Chaucer's name like 4 or 5 times amongst the 4 short stories.
Yeah.
He mentions like Chaucer, Goethe, Shakespeare, Milton, Spencer, like all the classic.
Way he writes the characters feel very old English, like Chaucer, Shakespeare. I don't know how to really describe it, but characters just feel different in old stories like that versus how we do it now.
Like, you think of the Canterbury Tales, and how like there's like each character has like a very distinct persona. I like that.
Anyways, now we're just rambling.
Yeah, we are. But anyways, Borges, he's really cool.
You're gonna have fun.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun, and it's really good to know this author or be aware of this author, I feel like.
Oh yeah. I need to know more.
He's one that inspires me to write.
Same.
For sure.
You finish this like, oh, I could. He's one of those where, oh, I want to create something now.
And it's okay, like, if it's not going to be very good at first, because it's just like you're trying to get what's in your mind on page. Like the confusing abstract things that you think about that you have no place to put them, just like write it out.
Yeah. Well, honestly, my favorite thing to do now is to just like purge what's in my brain onto paper.
Yeah.
And not care about if it's good or not.
Yeah.
And then I'll like go back a day later and I'll shape it.
Yeah.
And then I'll like make it into something I will never give out to people, but something that like
more cohesive.
I find it very therapeutic.
I think that's a really healthy practice that I need to do. Writing and reading truly, I think, is a skill that we all need to sharpen continuously.
We've somehow become a writing podcast.
Oh yes. I think they go hand in hand.
This is true.
Honestly. But thank you for joining this episode, you guys.
Yes. We will see you next time.
Bye. We did it. We did it.